Hey, this is Megan in the restricted section. Nope, I can't do this. It's crooked. Hey, this is Megan in the restricted section. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Marrow by Tarryn Fisher. This is one of the books that I picked up in at the library sale. Sue and I posted a video of the book haul from that book sale, and so this is one of the many books that I acquired during that. And I'll link that video down below if you guys are interested in checking that out. But I am slowly making my way through that heap of books that I got from that sale. And honestly, this one, we went on Dollar Bag Day, and this one just had a pretty cover. So it was kind of a cover buy, to be honest. This is like a dark thriller kind of book. And my review of this will not be spoiler free, so if you don't mind that it has spoilers in it, that's cool. If you do, then you should probably not watch this video if you're planning on, if you want to read this book and don't want to have spoilers. That's my disclaimer. So the story is about a girl named Margot, and she lives in this really shitty, impoverished area called the Bone. And it's basically about her life there and how she ends up becoming a vigilante, basically. So she grows up in a shit house, and her mother basically ignores her and only talks to her to give her commands, leaves her like to-do lists and things. Her mother is a prostitute, and they have, her mother has a gentleman caller over every evening. That's how she makes her money. And then Margot, so Margot's really lonely, obviously. Her mother ignores her. She's pretty miserable. She ends up meeting a boy in the neighborhood named Judah. He's in a wheelchair. And they become friends and kind of help each other survive the Bone. Well, this little girl in the neighborhood goes missing, and Margot is like deeply, deeply affected by this. I guess she interacted with the girl, you know, frequently during bus rides and things. She's deeply affected. She is driven to find out what has happened to this girl. So she makes it a point to find out, and then once she finds out, she takes care of it. And that kind of begins her path toward becoming a vigilante. Her mother ends up passing away. Margot leaves the Bone and continues her vigilante ways outside of the Bone. And then the ending is a bit of a, I guess it's a bit of a twist ending. So this book had like rave reviews. There were a lot of rave reviews written on Goodreads. I think it had an average star rating of 4. And people seem to really like Tarryn Fisher. I've never read anything by Tarryn Fisher other than this. And I was really underwhelmed by this, to be honest. But I'm a little bit iffy on thrillers anyway, so maybe that was what it was. But I just found this book a bit... the story itself is very, like, bleak and dreary and gray. And I think it's supposed to be that way because it's depicting how life is in the Bone and how Margot's life has been. But also there are so many things that happen in this book that are just over the top, just bizarre. For instance, Margot's mother, who, like, as I said, she's a prostitute, one day Margot finds a box of bones in their oven, and it's from a baby. Then Margot finds her mother, she hears her mother scream or something and goes in and sees her mother kind of in the midst of having a miscarriage from one of the gentleman callers, and that actually is what kills her mother. Her mother hemorrhages out and bleeds to death. And then Margot's whole vigilante thing is just, the scenarios keep getting more and more ridiculous. The first, like, I think the first real case of her exacting her justice, her vigilante justice, happens when she finds out what happened to the little girl who goes missing. The whole missing girl storyline was a little bit like, first of all, the last name of the little girl is Anthony, and the mother's implicated in the disappearance, and it turns out was responsible for it. And Margot exacts her justice on this woman. So I feel like there were really obvious and lazy parallels to the Casey Anthony case. I just felt like that was lazy. And this book, it says it came out in 2015. I don't know when she wrote it, but it says copyright 2015, so it would have been after all that mess happened. And then from there, that kind of changes her. She senses a change within her, and she takes it upon herself to exact justice on people that she sees committing sin, and I think that's how she refers to it, is like sin is everywhere, and it's her job to punish people for it. She ends up leaving the Bone and moving to the city, and she sees a girl almost getting raped in an alley. She saves the girl from that happening and kills the dude. And then there's this whole plot line where she accidentally stumbles across this guy who happens to be stalking a woman. Turns out, so she starts stalking him because she can tell he's a predator. And so she starts stalking him. Turns out he's a serial rapist. So she, tracks him down, tortures him, but in the middle of that, he ends up getting loose and capturing her. Yeah, and then she ends up in a psych ward. Like, that whole thing just got bigger and bigger and bigger and was just kind of absurd. Oh, and I think the first case of her exacting her justice was not actually the little girl's mom. I think it was, there's a different family that lives like across the street from her and runs a crack house. She sees the mother hitting the baby, and she comes in and kills the mother. While the mother is hitting the baby, hitting the child. So I think that was actually her first act, or whatever, as a vigilante. So then, yeah, it just seemed like every scenario got more and more ridiculous and over the top. No one ever came to suspect her or anything like that. And then the whole Judah thing, it kind of turns into a romantic thing. She loves him. He doesn't love her. He moves away. It's this big ordeal. And then when she ends up in the psych ward later on, after she was captured by the serial rapist stalker individual, her and the psychiatrist determined that Judah was not real. That Judah was actually a boy in her neighborhood who killed himself by jumping into the water. Margot tried to save him and didn't succeed, was unable to save him. And so she constructed Judah in her mind after that. So that was kind of the big psychological twist or whatever. I don't know. There was a lot going on in this book. It was really bleak and bizarre, and I had a hard time taking it seriously, even though it was a really serious book. But yeah, so in the end, Margot ends up getting her CDL so that she can truck across the country and kind of complete these missions as she goes, and I think she makes it a point to track down serial rapist fellow who has since moved away, and so that's kind of her first mission as a truck driver, is to track him down and take care of that. So there was just a lot going on. It was like a vigilante justice tale. It was a psychological thriller. It was I wouldn't really call it a horror novel, but it was really dark. So there was just, it seemed like kind of a mess to me. And like I said, it was just too much for me to really buy into. But yeah, so I wasn't really sold on this book. I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite. But, I got it in a bag of books, and I got the whole bag for $1, so didn't have a huge investment in this. And, yeah, it was at the very least interesting. So I think that's why I gave it 2 stars, because I didn't hate it. I just didn't care for it. And like I said, I've never read anything else by Tarryn Fisher, so maybe her other stuff is awesome. This wasn't really my thing. So those are my thoughts about this book. If you've read it, let me know what you think. I got a lot of really good reviews, so this might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know. But I wasn't really sold on it. So if you've read it and you want to let me know what you think about it, go ahead and leave me some comments. Sue and I have some cool stuff planned coming up. I think we're going to be doing our booktubeathon wrap-up video. Hopefully we both do well with that. And then I think we've got a tag video coming up as well. So you can be looking for those. If you're not already subscribed to the restricted section, you could do it. And as always, I will put some links down below where you can find Sue and myself elsewhere on social media if you're interested in that. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching.